Hi there, back again for part two. The reason I split this up into two parts is that this second bunch aren't so much campaign settings. They are part of Mystical Throne, the Ultimate series. And these are small books, barely 100 pages in some cases, that give extra rules or settings or an idea. Just to add some flavour and expand your game. So I'm going to go through them fairly rapidly. I haven't had a chance to use any because I literally just bought them. I went on a buying spree post-Christmas. So the first up is this one, which is Ultimate Settings Guide Conspiracies. Just in case you want to run the X-Files. Again, you know, these are very, very small books, about 60, 70 pages. And there's enough here to get your teeth into some new edges and hindrances, a couple of new villains, and the idea of what might be the conspiracy that you're trying to work out. So yeah, I'm intrigued to use this. It's one of those ones where I'll see how I can pile this into the main game before I look at something like Agents of Oblivion. But yeah, I'm intrigued to use that one. Feudal Japan, part of the Ultimate Medieval Guides set. This one takes the notion that there are essentially, just as Bushido and Sengoku do, that there are essentially three kinds of games that you could run when it comes to feudal Japan. You can do something that's historically accurate, and there's enough of a timeline here, it's very bare bones, but there's enough of a timeline here for you to work with. Or you could do something in what they call the Chanbara field, which is essentially watch any decent Akira Kurosawa movie. Or you can add big fantastical elements from Japanese folklore and add those in, and you're doing something like Monkey. Something like that. I'm pleased to have this actually. I've always wanted to run something in that style. I think if I had to choose between the three, it would probably be Chanbara, mostly because my knowledge of feudal Japan is entirely based on works of fiction, Akira Kurosawa movies, and the James Clavell novel Shogun, or more importantly, the rather excellent TV miniseries based on that book, with Richard Chamberlain and John Rhys Davies and Toshiro Mifune. Really, really, really good. Again, it's thin, but there's enough here just to give you a flavour, and that's really what they're all about. It's about giving you a flavour of something. Fae! Lots of background on Celtic lore, and the Fae, playable races. As I'm someone who uses Castle Falkenstein a lot, that have the Fae, I can use this along with the Widening Gear, grab elements from Clockwork Dreams, and I could run Falkenstein or something in that genre, something with that sort of style, using Savage Worlds, and that was worth getting this for alone. You could also add this to a sort of realistic medieval setting, and you could do something in the style of King Arthur very easily. So yeah, definitely well worth getting. And they're only about £5-6 a book, by the way, for the printed versions, so they're fairly cheap as well. This deals with the 5 points area of New York. And whilst the titular setting, the sort of main setting, is sort of 1920s, 1930s, which makes it perfectly usable for pulp games. I could easily use this as a campaign setting for Thrilling Tales, or Noir Nights for that matter. You can also use it modern day. You can use it for steampunk, which again allows me to add elements to widening gear. So for that reason, it was well worth getting. It gives me a place, it gives me a background. There's a basic timeline of the actual area, and then some alternate timelines, depending on how much of a fantastical element you want to add to the game. Not bad at all. Right, I bought this one simply because I'm doing an awful lot of big battles at the moment. Particularly my Shine Tower game is gearing up for what could be a big battle. So the idea of getting something with some extra oomph for ground warfare made sense to me. The mass battle rules that appear in the core rulebook are good. They're workable enough, but this allows me a bit more choice and a bit more oomph, and I'm very happy to have it. Guide to the Knights Templar. My only thing is, I wish they'd done all three of the Crusader orders. I wish they'd done the Teutonic Knights and the Knights of St. John as well, or the Knights Hospitaller. Would have been really nice, but it kind of focuses on the Knights Templar. It gives a very nice sort of timeline for the Templars. Again, it's fairly bare bones, but there's enough there to give you some flavour of playing Knights Templar. I mean, the Knights Templar were considered the main villains in the role-playing game Nephilim. So adding aspects from here onto something like Contagion or Olympus Inc., and I could easily have these as villains in that, or as playable heroes. Also gives me options for Ultima Thorson as well, so it's lots in here, well worth having for me. Pirates and Privateers. I do have, well, I'm about to not have Pirates of the Spanish Main. My daughter and her boyfriend are really into pirates, so I'm giving them Pirates of the Spanish Main because it's a complete book. But I kind of wanted to have a pirates setting anyway, so I've got this, which again gives a nice timeline. It's more geared towards not historical, but not fantasy. It's more the sort of cinematic kind of pirates of when swashbuckling movies about pirates were big, sort of Captain Blood and that sort of thing. Cutthroat Island, I guess. Non-fantastical. It's not Pirates of the Caribbean. This is the sort of non-fantastical swashbuckler style that it's really going for. There are a couple of computer games that I've always wanted to sort of run sort of games for. One was Elite, which a friend of mine, Stephen, is going to be running a game of Elite Dangerous soon, so I'm really looking forward to that. But the other one that I really wanted to do was Sid Meier's Pirates, which was released by Microprose, and yeah, could do it with this, no problem. Age of Discovery, Renaissance France. The cover. Literally, gives a timeline for France during the Renaissance period, the King Louis period, and it's a chance to play Musketeers. It was worth it for that alone. There's some new edges and hindrances for swashbuckling, for sort of fencing styles, which is worth it alone, because I could add that to the Pirates one. I can add it, because they're both seen as the Age of Discovery, I can add bits and bobs from both, can put them together quite easily. Again, I can nick some of these for widening gear to have more of a swashbuckle feel. Lots of use for this book. Really glad to have it. You know, all for one for all. Really glad I got this. Last but not least of these, now, I got the Vikings one simply because it intrigued me. The blurb for this has been very specific. It is not wholly historical, because a lot of the records about Vikings have been long since lost. So in doing this, they've tried to be historical, but they've sort of lifted a lot on. They've wanted to lift a lot from legend and so on. So it's not entirely historical. It gives me ideas for Vikings. Again, I could add them to fantasy campaigns. If I wanted to do something in the Dark Ages, I could do it quite easily. I'm very glad to have these. These aren't the only Ultimate Guides out there. There's a fair few that I haven't bought yet, including one about ancient China and the Mongol army. Which I haven't bought yet simply because I don't have a need for them right now. Those ones sort of immediately jumped out. I was like, oh, want that. These are nice, simple, they're little additions that you can use, some new rules, a little bit of background to get your teeth into, that can be used with Savage Worlds. What I'm hoping is that when people see these two videos, and I'm hoping people will see these two videos, they'll see the real length and breadth and depth that Savage Worlds can bring to the hobby. There's just so much going on in lots of genres, and I haven't even touched the fact that there are modern settings which I haven't bought yet. Emphasis on yet. But there's lots out there. I'm a real fan of Savage Worlds. I enjoy using it. It's a lot of fun, and I hope these videos have been enough to make you think, there's a lot there actually. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll be back soon with another video.